Well, the biggest problem that moral religious authority has is is these frameworks that it makes, and then it makes like statements of what is ethical inside of the framework. So it'll create these scenarios of what is ritualistically pure and what is socially acceptable, that in of itself creates moral problems, and then it'll frame scenarios inside of that context and say that the action is right or wrong inside of that framework, when in reality the framework that it's operating inside of is immoral to start with, and it has created all of these immoral things. I'll give you a primary example of this. When you see in like Deuteronomy, in Deuteronomy 22, where you get after a person rapes a woman, that woman is, her father's to be paid 50 shekels of silver, and then that she is to marry him, that he's to take her as a wife. Okay, and people look at this now and they say this is ridiculous. Now a woman has to marry her rapist, and that this is highly immoral. Well, the reason that this is happening is because there's already been a moral framework that is being created there, whereas first of all the woman is treated as property, and she's treated as cattle, and lesser than the man to start with. And then secondly, we have this ritualistic purity ideal that the woman is now unclean and she's sullied and no one would ever touch her. So inside of the context of that framework, the ideal is that the best possible action is for the man now to marry her, since no one else will ever take her as a wife. She is sullied. So the ideal is that this is the moral thing to do inside of the framework, but the problem is that the framework is wrong. If this is what the religion has been able to offer, that this construct where the woman, first of all, is treated as property, and second of all, that she is a sullied person and that no one would want to take her as a wife. If this is what the religion has created, then it seems just the absence of the religion is more moral. Just the absence of that framework is more moral, that we don't, A, have a proposition that says that the woman is lesser than, and that B, we don't have the proposition of judgment to say, oh, well, no one's ever going to be with that woman because she's had sex and therefore is sullied. She's not pure. She's not clean. When you just remove those aspects away, now you can operate inside of a better moral framework just by removing what you've already created through pious righteousness and ideals of cleanliness, and then you will have where other people don't judge a woman just because she's had sex, that would be a thing that, oh no, they would never marry her now. So in modern society, when we have tore down those walls of piety and said, okay, so what, she's had sex, that would not be a problem that someone would marry her. So just getting rid of the ritualistic structure already creates a more moral environment where A, she's not treated as property, and B, that there's not a judgment upon her that she could never be married because she's sullied. So now inside of this situation, do we have the best moral action is that she has to marry the man who raped her? No, we don't have that inside of this framework. And that's the biggest mark, I think, against religion, that if we can just take its tenets out and not have that as a moral framework, that we can already have better moral answers to the questions. I think we've already proven at that point then that religious structure is not the best moral thing for society.